Welcome back to the Escape Collective Tour Daily Podcast, everybody. Time trial day.
Woo!
Woo!
Actually, it was pretty exciting at the end. It was just yet to wait for hours until anything happens, which is fine.
We took advantage of that. I got a little bike ride in. We had a lovely breakfast.
Had about 4 coffees before.
It was great.
Midday.
Joining me, Jonny Long.
Oh, hi, sorry.
And Iain Trellor. Welcome back.
Hello.
Good to have you. We missed you.
Uh,
Well, stage 7 of the 2024 Tour de France. It's hard to believe we are already on stage 7. It's been a phenomenal Tour de France. I mean, we've had
Non-stop
storylines throughout the entire thing, right? We've got, I think I mentioned this list last night. Got Biniam Girmay, and we had Carapaz taking yellow, and we had Cav in 35, and we had all these things.
Carapaz taking yellow feels about a month ago.
Right. Almost not that long ago.
Even Groeneweggen's win yesterday because he was wearing the stupid beak thing. Even that is probably now a storyline.
That's true. And then today, we have Remco Evenepoel winning the time trial. That makes, it now has stage wins in all 3 Grand Tours.
Is he the youngest to ever do that? Do we know that?
He's 24.
He must be.
I mean, you'd have to go back and check.
I'm just going to claim that
Let's
fact.
check Mercs and things like that. But it's likely that is the truth. I'm sure we'll be corrected.
That's fine. I just want to get one in the book early, just to, keep it rolling.
Just an erroneous fact.
Well,
just lay down that marker.
He was the favorite for the TT today.
Yeah.
He had a phenomenal time trial at the Dauphiné. I think he's
the most aero man to ever lived, maybe?
The most aero man that's ever lived.
Something about his arms?
His arms are aero.
His arms are the most aero arms.
Yep.
Well, so most riders, the cloth, whatever cloth they have on, is faster than skin. So that's why you see riders with the tall socks, for example. They've got tall, fancy socks. And for whatever reason, Remco has fast skin. This is an actual wind tunnel tested thing
as well, I would say. He gets a nice tan and is always looking healthy and unblemished.
I would say that he's a particularly strong example of the helmet strap tan.
He always has such good helmet strap tan. It's great.
And he also always has a fresh do.
A fresh what, sorry?
His hair. His hair is always fresh from the barbershop.
Did you see his haircut before the Dauphiné, was it?
Rude haircut, yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah. But it was fresh.
It was, well, yeah. I get by the definition of had just happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't fresh in the way that a barbershop would be that's a fresh trim.
No. But it was,
Got it.
So he won the stage by 12 seconds over Tadej Pogačar.
Sorry.
You guys go on adventures.
You bring us back.
And I'll bring you back.
Yeah,
we'll bring you back.
Make sure you're carrying your big
information. Yeah. In third place, Primož Roglič, 34 seconds back. So that's a big deal. Roglič ends up beating Jonas Vingegaard. I think this is probably the most solid indication we have thus far that Vingegaard is absolutely not who he was at last year's Tour de France, right? At last year's Tour de France, he tried to play it down today. He was talking to media. He was saying, this isn't really the time trial that's built for me, but not that different from the TT that he did very well in last year, that he smashed last year. The hill was absolutely smaller, but it's not like we were running a 55K dead flat into a headwind kind of time trial, right? It was not that different. So Vingegaard, at this point in time, we're only 7 days in. At this point in time, we got the Pyrenees, we got the last 3 days in the Alps, which is going to be monsters. At this point in time, does not look like he's Pogačar's number 1 threat for the yellow jersey, which is not what we would have guessed a week ago.
But then, and I wish I'd looked this up before, this time last year after Puy de Dôme, which was maybe stage 8 or 9, I want to say, Pogačar was in yellow, I believe, and he had a lead over Jonas Vingegaard. Or at least, Pogačar did those couple of early attacks and managed to gap Vingegaard on some punchier climbs, and he'd built up a reasonable advantage, and then it all flipped on its head, no?
So the GC is now, Pogačar leads Evenepoel by 33 seconds and Vingegaard by 1 minute and 15. 1 minute and 15 is not small.
You don't think? I was looking at the GC after the stage and was quite pleasantly surprised at how small the gaps were still compared to,
I mean, much like last year, we sort of have this clumping, right? We have this clumping in this inside the top 10. Is clumping not the right word?
No, it is the right word. I'm just imagining being one of those sort of second tier GC guys and all of my sacrifice and hard work gets referred to as a clumping. I think that would probably destroy me mentally.
Yeah, so we've got, inside the top 10 is a 4 minute and 36 second gap. Last in that top 10 is Alexander Vlasov, all the way back at 4:36. I mean, this is an incredibly deep GC field this year, so it's not that surprising that the gaps are not that big. We have had a couple GC days, but what just showed up?
I
We just
don't
got
know.
some free dumplings.
Is it free dumplings?
I'd say. Well, we didn't
We
order
didn't
it.
order the
we
dumplings.
don't think we did.
We got Vietnamese tonight because we've already reached that point of being
Yeah.
in France, which is that we don't want
Even
any
though
more-
we did
any
have
more
Vietnamese
duck.
2 nights ago, except it wasn't this level of Vietnamese, and
No.
they just burnt a pineapple with a lighter, and I filmed it, and then I was stuck in a showdown with the woman burning the pineapple, where she kept on burning it as long as I was filming, and I realised after about a minute.
4 of the top 11 are from UAE.
Interesting. Well, Almeida, did he leapfrog Ayuso today?
He went up 2 places. He did not leapfrog
He just
but he
put
did
more time in.
leapfrog Carlos Rodriguez and
Ah.
Mika Landa.
Mika
Ayuso
Landa.
lost a place.
Miko Landa's having a good tour.
That's great news.
Yeah,
Well,
it
so-
is great news.
So yeah, we had Julia Ciccone down as the Heimars Zubeldia Anonymous Top 10 award, but actually Julia Ciccone has dropped down to 13th place. So
that's
now,
like the Balkan Mollema award.
yeah, so the Heimars Zubeldia was just Balkan Mollema before Balkan Mollema was Balkan Mollema.
Ah, okay.
Heimars Zubeldia was like doing
First
this,
gen.
Yeah, he was doing this in like 2007, 2003, stuff like that.
I got you.
I just pulled those numbers, those
Yeah.
dates, but roughly back there. So at the moment, I mean, Mika Landa is in the lead for the Heimars Zubeldia / Balkan Mollema Anonymous Top
Which
10
is
award.
nice because it's showing Basque solidarity.
Yes, that was my first thought too.
That's true. So we heard from both Remco and Pogacar in today's press
Yeah.
conferences. We got the full sort of like 5-6 questions with both of them. Reactions to let's start with Remco.
Yeah.
You I think it was you mentioned, Jonny, that
Uh-oh.
you find him to be quite professional. You like him in press conferences.
I think he was one of the first riders. I think I went to like a Cedar Quick Step Media Day in Calpe in early 2020. It was my first time ever really doing that thing. And he was there surrounded by all these journalists. He must have been like 19 or 20 then. And he just held court, gave all the reporters exactly what they needed to leave him alone as soon as possible. But he didn't do it in such a way that you felt you were getting shortchanged. Like he engages, he offers enough personality. He's a human, and considering how much he gets bothered by everyone all the time, it's amazing. I'm sure he has like off days, and some mornings he won't talk to the press necessarily because he's just had enough. But he sometimes gets a bit of flack for coming across as arrogant.
So I was going to say he's not like the favorite of a lot of, I think, of our listeners, of our audience, of sort of maybe the English language kind of fandom in general. And
Yeah,
I'm not
bullshit. Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where that comes from. He's definitely, he's pulled some nonsense over the years. He's definitely he's got a big ego, right? Like all these guys do.
It's a bit like in NFL, you have diva wide receivers. Where they just are a bit more flashy and a bit more, puff their chest out. And that's just what Remco Evenepoel is, which a lot of GC guys are not like that, at least in this day and age.
So he spoke in French first, which I think the French always love,
Yeah.
right? Like a lot of the riders now will not speak in any French, but he is a Belgian, and most Belgians speak both Dutch, Flemish, and French, and he speaks English. So he started in French, which is always beloved by the locals.
He made a little joke.
Made
a
a
little
very
joke?
very good little joke. He got
What was the
asked if he was having a nice time at the Tour de France, and he said, "No, I hate it, and I'm never coming back," which was funny. And then he corrected himself, fact-checked himself in real time, and said, "No, I will definitely be back."
He did have to, he had to explain the joke. So
Well,
that makes it.
that isn't on Remco. That's on the humorless nature of some of the press.
Exactly. He has to
Somebody
make it
would've-
abundantly clear.
Yeah, but how great would it have been? So basically,
We should have written that out.
So
That'd be funny.
somebody asked him, what was the question?
Are
you enjoying yourself?
It was, are you enjoying yourself?
It
Like,
was
are
our-
you
it
having
was
fun
our-
at your.
it
It
was-
was our colleague from AFP,
Yeah.
the French news agency, Damien.
Yep, Damien asked, are you enjoying yourself? And he said, no, I'm never coming back.
It was good.
It was-
The comedic timing wasn't there, but it's like his third language. The other thing Remco said was that we saw him checking whether he had a puncture. Pretty much, he was like
Yeah.
sort of testing out his tire, and he said that he heard a sound that sounded exactly like his tire going.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure he said I was trying to finish an article while listening, and he was saying that it was weird for him to get brought out of the zone like that. Like usually it wouldn't bother him, but it must have been like a considerable sound. He said he probably lost about 3 to 4 seconds based on the distraction and then getting back in the rhythm of things. So
And
could
it
have been one by one.
wasn't just him that noticed it, because we were standing near his press officer sort of people, and when that happened, can I swear on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When that happened, I noticed that the press officer said, "Fucking hell," very loudly. It was good.
It was good.
But he did not have a flat. So he just heard some noise, thought it was a flat.
Got everyone
Pulled him out
effing
of
and jeffing.
his zone.
Yeah.
He bounced the rear tire a couple times, and so he sort of rode right past us when he had crossed the finish line, and I was looking down at his rear tire, and I was like, "Oh, this appears to be fine." So it was just some other noise, false alarm.
Today, with Evenepoel and Pogacar finishing, because they came off to the side of the road, they went through the finish line, then came back round and went up the side street just on the last corner, and it was a prime example of when one of these big riders finishes, and then suddenly everyone who's filming for TV or any reporter basically can get in that zone, just runs after them, and it's like a huge
quite
mob.
funny.
It's a stampede. It's like that scene in the Jungle Book where all the elephants are running along.
It's
great.
quite funny, and sometimes we debase ourselves and do
sometimes
the
we
run.
do it. Ronan often does it just for the hell of it. He's just
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to join in because it looks like fun.
He's got a racer's instinct.
He does.
He does.
Just jumps in that
It's like
wheel.
he chases.
He's just.
It's like a mailman going past a dog sitting on a porch.
Let's move over to the Pogacar.
Oh, good press conference.
This is a good press conference.
It's only 4 questions long.
Yep.
But he basically said that
So
you go.
we got funny. We've been calling it nihilist Pogi. So like, basically what he said was everybody else is talking about how the first 5 stages were really, really hard. They were hot. They were like draggy. They were just difficult. And he said they were fun. So that's fun.
That is fun by definition.
Yep. But then he starts talking about the next week. And I will fully admit that the three of us have taken a look through the road book, and we're staring down the barrel at potentially very little happening
Well,
between now and like 6 days from now.
I would say us and our very particular brand of bullshit means that we just have time now to fill with extracurriculars that we maybe otherwise wouldn't have had time
we'll
for.
be fine.
Whereas some of the others in that press room are going to be scrabbling around for morsels to tide them over.
Yeah.
Whereas our not complaint, our maybe slight criticism of the first week of racing was that it was too busy with too much racing, so we didn't have time to like go and explore and just
Find some tangents.
find some things. Yeah.
But we're gonna have time over the next week, and Pogacar agrees basically. So
He's giving us license to go
He
and do
kind of
that,
looked
yeah.
at the next week, and what was the exact phrase that
He was saying stuff like, tomorrow boring, next day stressful, next day rest day, day after that boring, day after that stressful, day after that boring, and then we get to them, and then finally we get to the mountains.
Yeah.
It was great.
Both he and Remco were also asked quite a bit about the gravel stage
Yeah.
that's coming up on Sunday.
Yeah.
And both seemed sort of not particularly concerned by it. They were saying, it's not as hard as Strade Bianchi. It's one of those. Well, Remco used the classic. It's not a stage where you can win the tour, but it is one where you can lose it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. And neither seem particularly concerned. I think they'll be wanting to position themselves well. They'll hopefully not flat, but beyond that, they're not that worried about it. And most of the rest of the stages the next week are either sprint stages or sort of like classic.
Like Matej Mohoric style breakaway.
Yeah. Like Matej Mohoric is licking his chops right now.
Yep.
He is ready to go. And I would say there's probably maybe a Fred Wright in there
If his wrist is all right.
if his wrist is all right.
We did debate this morning whether to track him down to ask him what shoe size he was.
He's got a big size 44.5 energy, as I think we might have discussed. This is the problem with the podcast, because it all just sort of blurs together, and I can't remember.
What we
Yeah.
talked about on the podcast versus what we talked about when we were just sitting in a car for like 8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
we definitely
no.
talked about that on the pod yesterday.
We did talk about that on the pod.
Okay. 44.5.
Yeah.
I'm firming on that.
Yep.
Feeling
Well,
really
we
good
are,
about
and
that.
we're gonna determine whether this is accurate or not. We're just gonna go ask him. We're gonna say, how big's your foot?
Yeah. And check in on if he's feeling okay.
Yeah.
Primarily. No.
What if we just
secondarily.
start with the foot question though? What do you think?
Yeah. How big are your hoofs?
See, this is the thing, because we were talking about this morning over breakfast, where we just had a big old basket of pain.
Yeah.
And we were talking about interview etiquette and technique, and whether you sort of warm up to the big questions that you really want to ask with the boring questions that they expect.
Yep.
But I think that there is something to be said for just cutting right to the chase.
I'm too nervous to do that.
Oh, I
like
depends
to gauge their response, and then based on that, I'll see how much I have to like couch the question they're maybe either going to enjoy or not like.
Sometimes I'll make a comment that's not a question, like off-mic comment that sort of gauges their reaction. You know?
What, you just sidle up to Fred Wright and mutter, "Your feet are looking slightly larger than average."
Not exactly like that. You know, particularly for the riders that you know a little bit, you can sort of make some sort of like offhand, like, "Oh, you got some new sunglasses," or whatever it is. It's something random, right? And maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Small talk.
They're pro. Yeah, I mean, I'm pro at small talk at this point. Maybe they do have some new sunglasses. Maybe they don't. But they're going to either agree with you and be like, "Yeah, sweet," right? Or they're going to say,
"These are the
"Nope,
same sunglasses I've been wearing for a year."
And either way, you've cracked the ice. You're ready to go, and then you can you've already had a conversation.
The thing with cracking
without
the ice
having actually asked a question yet
is that sometimes you fall into freezing water.
That's true. Well, it depends on the athlete. Yeah, depends on the athlete. I would. Have you guys ever considered just going with like the TV style of asking a question?
What, really loud and
just really loud, like sort of irrelevant statement, and then you just stop and you pause, and because they're on television,
it is your 35th stage win.
The rider feels like they have to say something interesting.
What I found that actually makes ones who otherwise maybe a bit pissy with you behave themselves is, I'm not saying I've done this twice with Derek G, and we're going to hear from Marco Haller later.
Are you saying
and Magnus Cort,
Canadians aren't pissy?
No, this is just an example that I will use going forward. But if you say welcome to the podcast, they know that exactly what they're going to say is going to be shown.
Is going to be on there. That's right.
Which is maybe a bit of a cruel trick.
No, but it's a good trick, though.
But it's a good trick.
Think. Yeah.
Is that race? Is that everything racing related?
There is one little nugget that I've got.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that there was a nice moment, we thought, with Julian Bernard.
That was
where
great.
he was riding up the road in his home region, in the region of Mustard.
Yeah.
And
it's become a thing, this thing. Like, we had Virage Bernard today, basically.
Yeah. And do you want to know something good about it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just got fined 200 Swiss francs for unseemly behavior.
Great. Because he stopped and kissed his wife.
Yep. Which is outrageous.
The UCI, just come on, guys.
That is so good.
Unseemly or inappropriate behavior during the race and damage to the image of
They've
sport.
both got to. I need the Virage weird, like not weird, like just like over the top, whatever. But I also need the UCI just having no sense of humor, because if it was too much of a love in, then it would be boring.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
All right, so while we're on the UCI subject, I do need to. I've had a fair amount of hate for my Cav take.
Yeah, you were just in the press room trying to defend yourself online, which is never good, even with our own paying audience.
So I just want to clarify something, which is that, and I said this, I believe, on the podcast, is that I don't think Cavendish should have been relegated in his 35th stage win. One, I don't think it was really. Anyway, it was fine, and it would have been a damn shame more than anything. I was more sort of angry at the UCI, which I think is a pretty standard thing for us, is that they just change the rules randomly, and they kind of just, like, I've seen that exact maneuver be relegated before.
Can I let you in on a secret? Every single one of those accounts you're arguing was actually me and my multiple burners.
I knew it.
I've got to defend king and country.
Anyway, that was my only point, is I was more talking about the UCI than Cav himself. And so stop messaging me, because I agree with you.
You're just digging your hole more and more. This is why all I did was write about a dead fox and then just leave any feelings at the side of the...
I will never call him sir.
You don't have to. I don't think I will.
Something else. Baron. Earl.
Earl.
Viscount?
Yeah.
Viscount?
I think it's Viscount, yeah. I wasn't gonna be the guy that...
But I don't know anything about these things.
What's Viscount?
We don't have them.
Maybe America would be a better place if you did.
Probably. Well, we do, just we don't call them that, right?
You just call them Chuck.
or
Chad.
like Bill in finance. Like I don't, like it's the same.
I would like to be called Bill in finance. That sounds like a fun life. Our dinner's here. Shall we
Let's
take a break?
a quick break, and we're gonna come back with a couple things. One, we have some questions.
Oh yes, this
we
is
have
good.
some great questions. So
Yeah.
first, we have an update on Jim from Horsham.
Yeah.
We have a great tattoo question. We have it's somebody's birthday today,
Sure is. It's many people's birthdays.
and I
Yeah.
think statistically,
Yep.
it's one very important person's birthday.
Two, my brother.
Really?
Shout out.
They
Shout
share a birthday?
Yeah.
Ooh la la. Okay, well, we'll be back in a little bit to talk about this more. Welcome back, everybody. How was your what did you have?
We had vermicelli cold noodles, which was delightful.
Ooh, lovely.
It was so good. There were spring rolls, and the thing that I really liked about these spring rolls and Vietnamese spring rolls in general is when there's that little bit of extra chewiness to the dough. It was really good. I needed this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best food in France is
We're not going to get this sort of food
Usually
for the
Vietnamese.
next 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
Tomorrow, we're staying in a superb hotel, a logis with a restaurant.
Oh,
I think
nice.
it's actually going to be quite nice tomorrow.
No,
And,
it'll be nice. It just
and
will be...
the finish is in
won't
the
be Vietnamese.
middle of nowhere, and we have a hotel that's like 15 minutes away from the finish. So
Chapeau, Caley.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Chapeau that man.
Well, let's get into we got a bunch of questions. So I mentioned last night we had a question from Jim in Horsham.
Yeah.
And it was cut off by the technology that we use to take these questions, which, as a reminder, escapecollective.com/hello. You can leave us a little note.
We've started listening to them in the car. It's quite fun
they're
as we
great.
drive home from the stage.
They're great, yeah. Anyway, we for whatever reason, we didn't get second half of Jim's questions. We couldn't actually tell what the question was. And
Is he your father?
He's not my father.
That's
In fact,
a relief.
my father texted me and said that wasn't me. And I said, I know.
On account of what your
Thanks
dad
for listening,
sounds like.
Phelan.
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 Phelan?
Sorry.
Phelan.
Phelan frets.
Yeah. He's listening to this
Is
right
that
now,
how
so you
it's-
better be nice.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Phelan.
Phelan.
Yeah, Phelan Fretz.
Wow.
He's in a van right now. Anyway, Jim here is from my dad's old hometown. Have to answer Jim's question. Plus, it's a good question, which
Well, let's
is
listen to it. We listen to it, or we just
no, because he just
he
just
typed it out.
messaged me
got you? Sorry.
the
Sorry.
second half of the question. Anyway, normally we would listen to it, but I don't have the full
Yeah.
recording because it's broken. Yeah.
Sorry.
The question was: is there a disadvantage to being in a leader's jersey in a time trial? And the quick
Yes.
answer to that is yes. I think we've talked about Ronan's definitely talked about it over the years.
At length.
At length.
I don't wanna say
the,
it.
the disadvantage is probably not massive, and is it Santini that does?
Yep.
Santini does the leaders kits now, and they do their best, right? Like they put their absolute utmost into it, and there's nothing actually wrong with the skin suit per se. And they go and they tailor it. I mean, there's a bit of that in Unchained actually.
Yeah, they do that video every time trial with the yellow jersey before he's getting ready to
Yeah,
roll out, and then it's just they're in a room with a bunch of people they don't know, all like sorts of picking and poking and prodding.
yep.
So I'd say that's one of the biggest disadvantages, that you just have to have loads of strangers touching you while
That's-
you're wearing not much clothes.
That is
clothing.
true. But the other thing is that like fitting a skin suit is usually more than like a one-step process, and they only have time for one step, right?
And you use computers and such.
Yeah, there's like computers, and also a lot of riders will actually try multiple different types of skin suit.
Yeah.
And one of the things about aerodynamics is, we have all the numbers, we can run all the models, but a lot of it just straight up we don't understand why things happen, and sometimes somebody is just faster in one skin suit and not as fast in another. We see the same thing in helmets, for example. You might have noticed today, little Trek, they don't like Trek Bontrager doesn't make a TT helmet, or at least didn't for a long time. So the team can run whatever they want. And so the riders just test all that sort of stuff, and they just run whatever they want. And and in theory, all the Trek guys should be faster as a result.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's the answer to Jim's question. Thanks for sending that one in. We have another one here from Taylor, and this one we must play because we were playing it on the way here
yeah.
and giggling to ourselves. So let's listen to Taylor's question.
Escape Collective, how's it going? It's Taylor. 10:58 a.m., sitting in the office, just kind of getting some work done, figured I'd reach out. There was a lot of ink spilled over Jonas getting inked up recently. And I think that I think you guys may have already discussed this on the podcast, so forgive me if I'm bringing up a topic that's already been discussed, but there's a lot of people in the peloton who could do big things right now on this front. And I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Personally, I think somebody that a lot of people aren't talking about with regard to the tattoos is the amount of potential that Jasper Philipsen has. I think if he has maybe 1.5 bad seasons, he's going to get a lot of tattoos. He's probably going to get a sleeve, maybe 2 sleeves. And then Pidcock is a real dark horse on this front. Nobody is talking about his potential as far as the tattoos go. He doesn't have a lot of surface area, but I think he could probably get a pretty amazing chest piece. I think he's going to have to wait until his early 30s for this to happen, but it seems like the thing for him to do is to get like a chest piece of a bear roaring. Interested in hearing your thoughts. Once again, sorry if this has already been discussed, but let me know what you think. Thanks.
That analysis is on point.
On point. So I really like the idea of a giant, like, large toothed mammal across Pidcock's chest.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? What other tattoos would we like to see on various riders?
Well, the first one, Jasper Philipsen, if he stops winning,
and just gets
Taylor,
all tattooey.
Taylor was saying that he reckons he could just tat yourself up. I could see him have that. Maybe I could see him like something Primoz Roglic-y.
Like a big cross on the
big cross,
big
or
cross?
like sometimes you get the tattoo where it looks like your skin's opening and then inside is like a clock to remind you that nothing lasts forever, that sort of thing.
I think it's like Gothic script. Like
Gothic script, yeah.
That Gothic script and something like Only God Can Judge Me.
Sorry?
Like Only God Can Judge Me down the inside of
or
his...
No Regrets.
I thought you said Only God Can Catch Me, which is also a fun one for a sprinter.
Yeah. That would be a good tat to get.
Do we think that our Lord and Saviour would be a fast bicyclist?
No.
I mean, probably.
I think he'd be into ultra, and it'd be self-supported.
But the Holy Spirit
if any
is
self-supported
everywhere.
includes the power of our Lord up above.
I think he'd probably be pretty similar to Lachlan Morton.
Like
Poggi, what does he get? Just like a little smiley face on his
I reckon
elbow?
he gets like something around his necklace. Around his necklace, like around
You just said necklace and then point at your ankle.
Yeah, a necklace thing around his ankle, where you
An
like
anklet.
sometimes an anklet tattoo. Thank you, Jesus Christ, that shouldn't have been so hard.
Does anyone remember Philip Gilbert's ankle tattoo?
Yes.
Yeah, the
I
rainbow
was the
bands.
one. I broke that story.
Did
Iain.
you?
Yeah, because I was standing next to him, and he had just won Worlds, and I was at the Dubai Tour back when the Dubai Tour was a thing, and so
You
it was
had
like
it.
his first race of the season. It was the first time that this ankle tattoo had been out in public,
That's a deeply lame
and I
tattoo.
took a picture of it, and I posted it on Instagram.
So you were doing the feet pics cycling content.
I've been
long
into feet
before.
pics for a solid decade already. Yeah,
It's a pretty shit tat.
it's so
It's
bad.
bad.
It's like it's all wobbly.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what tattoo Pogacar would get. He would get the circa 2013 moustache on the forefinger that then he could hold up to his lip to pretend he has a moustache. Yes.
It's a very important day. Yesterday was National Caesar Salad Day. Today is
National Alexander Kristoff's birthday.
birthday boy.
Yeah.
Big boy Christoy.
Big boy
Happy
Christoy.
birthday, big boy Christoy. So did you go and find him?
I did. I spoke to him today. I had a interesting interaction with TV2, which is the TV rights
They're your
people.
friends.
Well, not the
this
I
silver-haired
think
fox
they're-
Sindra Olsen.
So like imagine, let's put ourselves in TV2's shoes here. So like let's say you and I are both British.
Let's
Right.
say that.
Let's say that.
Yeah.
And we are, daily covering the
Your name would be
Brits.
Colin, not Caley.
Yeah, so I'm Colin Fretz. And
I can just be Jonny because I'm already British.
and we're daily covering the Brits, right? Like maybe we're not working for Escape, we're working for the BBC.
Yes.
And we are daily. We're on the Cav beat, we're on the Pidcock beat,
Doling
and all
out
of
the
a sudden,
chapeaus.
this Norwegian dude with a mustache and tall hair
Yeah.
shows up and is weirdly friendly
Yeah.
with our coverage area.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you find that strange?
I would find it endearing.
So what normally happens is
I'd
that
find it threatening.
Yeah, I'm coming for you, TV2. They do their extremely patriotic interviews with the Norwegian riders, and they're just so
How are they patriotic?
well. They just only talk to Norwegian riders.
Do they do the Colombian thing where they start the question with "campeón"?
I don't think it's quite to that point, but they did sing "Happy Birthday" to
That's fun.
Christoph today.
You mean you didn't sing "Happy Birthday"?
No.
Okay.
I'm a little disappointed in you.
Anyway, so they do their little filmed interview, and the hierarchy, the pecking order is that TV people go first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then us weirdos with our new
Notebooks.
media just sort of hang back. In this case, Chris Stoy was, he had a backpack on with shoes strapped to it, and he was about to ride back to the hotel.
Inside of his backpack.
I don't know. I don't think he got any presents this year, which is kind of sad.
It's
Yeah.
really sad.
So he was getting ready to ride
Even
back
I
to his
got a present.
hotel.
You did.
Good one.
No, we haven't shown you the present yet. You love it.
Caley
You've
showed
seen
me.
it.
Ah.
I hated it. So he was getting ready to ride back to the hotel, and I could tell he didn't really want to talk to me. But when somebody says in Norwegian to you "Happy Birthday," then you can't really ignore that, can you?
How do you say
That's good
Happy
tactics.
birthday in Norwegian?
Gratulerer med dagen.
So say that again.
Gratulerer med dagen.
Gratulerer med dagen.
dagen.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So I said that to him, and he said
Gratulerer med
"Tusen takk," which means 1,000 thank yous.
Is that a normal thing that Norwegian people say?
Yeah, it's like thanks very much.
That explains so much about you.
So we spoke, and then I ran out of Norwegian and dropped into English, and then just pestered him about what kind of birthday cake he was going to get.
What was the answer?
This was kind of
This is sad.
this is a sad thing, because
Yeah.
last year he got to request a cake, and he chose an Oreo cake from memory,
Nice.
which is a bad cake, but didn't get to select a cake, which he was a little bit upset with.
Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. Sorry. They know it's not that they don't have warning when his birthday's going to be. They know it's during the tour and that he's their team
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not.
This is also the
anymore.
Christoph
Is he not?
Resurgence tour, though.
Yeah. What? He got third.
Yeah, he's been. When was the last time he was third in a Tour de France bunch sprint?
Yeah, Ian.
Excuse me.
Well, that was
He's
an actual
doing-
question. When was the last time he was third? In the Tour de
He won in
France bunch sprint?
2020.
He
That's
has
4 years ago now.
That's not that long ago.
He
is
has
it?
20 top 3 placings in Tour de France stages.
Yeah, but it's been a while. I'm saying this is a Resurgent tour.
okay, great.
He's back.
So the question that I asked of the Uno Express officer, I needed to know what cake, because Christoph didn't know what cake. So I asked him,
Yeah.
and finally I got a response that it is a chocolate cake lovingly prepared. I also wanted to know whether he has one birthday candle or 37.
Yeah.
They said one.
That seems
Very,
safer.
that seems Norwegian.
Uh,
I don't want to stereotype, but
and then this is a bit weird.
bit spendthrift. No,
They-
the opposite.
Opposite.
They sing Happy Birthday in English, not the Norwegian
Is it
song.
Magnus Cort is Danish?
I reckon they still sing the same thing there.
Well, the Norwegian version of Happy Birthday, is it the same tune? Just with different?
No, very different.
Well, maybe is it a better or worse song than the English speaking Happy Birthday?
Better.
Okay, you're gonna have to show us now.
There's
You've actually
actions
stepped into a
as
corner.
well.
Okay,
Actions.
let me hold
Okay,
the
so
microphone
you sing
for
it,
you.
and we'll.
I'll hold the microphone
we'll-
for
I
you
don't
so
know
we can
all
still
the
see
lyrics,
the-
but
Kelly, you're gonna have to film this on your phone as well. You didn't see this coming in.
I hate this.
I can tell.
Okay, so it starts Hurra for deg som fyller dette år. For det vil vi gratulere. Du, 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 du. This is the best bit. Bukken nikker nei og snu oss omkring, danse for det og hopp og sprett og spring.
Wait, where are the actions?
I'm not seeing any
So
actions here.
Bukkenikanaya is like, that's bow, and then and then snu means you turn around in a circle.
Ah, okay. So it's kind of like the cha-cha slide, but with extra steps.
Yeah, or the Macarena.
Gotcha. Yeah, the more popular.
Oh,
I enjoyed
but
that.
the
Tuneful.
bit that you haven't mentioned yet, which is the part that made us sad about it, is that this was not a birthday cake prepared lovingly by a chef. It was a birthday cake prepared lovingly by a nutritionist,
Well,
which is not who you want making your birthday cake.
no. I have a correction for that.
Ah.
Alexander led me astray. He thought that the nutritionist would make the cake.
Oh.
But
Well.
oh no, sorry, there is a nutritionist involved.
Oh.
James Moran, the team nutritionist,
Okay.
and the
We
cook
go ask
is
James tomorrow whether he messed with the recipe. Pull
Yeah.
a bunch of sugar out.
So I think I'll ask. So James Moran came up with the recipe, and
He
it was
actually will, too.
executed
That's the best
by the team chef, Kim Rockshaw.
All right. It's time for us to head to After Dark.
Do we not need to check the Mayo Sable competition?
Oh, we do. We do.
So, we have Magnus Cort he's been hogging it, to be honest. Remember, t-shirts are for sale on our shop if you're that into the Mayo Sable and you want to, support the company, honor the Mayo Sable. We have a new Mayo Sable, guys. Magnus Cort, he dropped 3 places in the time trial today.
Oh.
He's now 1 hour, 4 minutes, 33 seconds, so that's probably him done for the year.
Yep.
New guy was mentioned on the podcast yesterday. In fact, Iain forgot his name.
Rube.
Well, I've forgotten it again.
Simon Geschke.
1
hour, 28 seconds.
That's good.
Yes. 89th place, moved down 1 place and captured the jersey. He could be into it.
This could be a really interesting week for the Mayo Sable because we could see a bunch of breakaways survive. And
so
breakaways surviving mean that you could have Magnus Cort back in the running. They get 9 minutes at some point this week.
Interesting.
Yeah, you never know. Keep a close eye on it.
So I'll go try and talk to Simon Geschke tomorrow.
Yeah.
Would you like to come with me, Iain?
I've actually got the recording.
A recording of what?
Your interview with Simon Geschke from tomorrow.
You do?
Shall we play it?
Yes. I'm so confused.
Run your interview.
Do you know what's going on here?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, sorry, I'm so slow. Simon, how are things going at the tour so far this year?
Yeah, this is really such a nice year.
The beard is looking voluminous.
Yes, thank you. I put a little beard wax in it, and this is quite buoyant. I think you agree.
Well, Simon, don't you have your own brand of beard wax?
Yeah, Simon Geschke's special beard wax.
Simon, shame to see the German football team, the Mannschaft, go out of the Euros last night.
Yeah, this was really sad for me. I was watching whilst I was getting my legs massaged, and this was quite disappointing actually because Spain is not my favorite football team.
Side note, Caley, did you enjoy how I asked that like a TV person asks the question where they don't actually ask a question?
I loved it.
Yeah. Final things for let you go and get on with your much more important things. We have this competition that we run on our podcast.
Yeah, good.
Called the Mayo Sable, which translates as the sand jersey. And basically it's a fun little competition we run where it's the rider on GC closest to an hour, but they have to have gone over an hour. And you're actually the wearer today. So congratulations. Big question, will you be targeting and trying to protect this jersey all the way to Nice?
Yeah, absolute.
And how much would it mean to you?
This is maybe the biggest honor that Simon Geschke could ever have.
Good luck today, Simon.
Thank you.
That feels like After Dark material, but you got it for free.
Well, it's a taste of what we do in After Dark sometimes.
That's true.
Well, before we do anything else, I'm going to have the privilege of throwing over to Jose, where we're going to meet 2 French legends. One is leader of the Gauls, Vercingetorix, and the other is someone you might have heard of before, Charles de Gaulle.
Both the start town of Semur-en-Auxois and the finish town of Colombey-les-Deux-Églises have a lot of history. The latter basically as the place where one of France's great statesmen, Charles de Gaulle, died, and the former as place where the mighty Gauls reigned until they were beaten by Caesar. That's why today's entry is a bit longer, so sit back because we have 2 grand statesmen in one stage. First, our start town. The Gauls had one of their famous battles just outside of our start town. It is now called Museo Parc d'Alésia, and it's where you find a gigantic statue of the great leader Vercingetorix. It literally means Supreme King of Warriors. I stumbled on that name a million times to the great delight of my husband, but I got it right this time. 2 more to go. Vercingetorix was a Gallic chieftain who's best known for his role as the leader of the broad Gallic alliance against Roman forces during the last phase of Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars. We're talking 52 BC, and Vercingetorix emerged as a central figure in the resistance against Roman conquest. His strategy included a scorched earth policy to deprive the Roman forces of supplies, and he rallied various Gallic tribes to join his cause in a confederation against Rome. It all went pretty well until the siege of Alesia in 52 BC. Vercingetorix and his forces were besieged by the Romans in the fortress over there. And despite his efforts to coordinate support from outside forces, the siege ended with his surrender after a prolonged and desperate resistance. And this defeat effectively marked the end of major Gallic resistance to Roman control. Following his surrender, Vercingetorix was taken prisoner and held captive for about 5 years. And in 46 BC, he was paraded in Caesar's triumph in Rome and subsequently executed. Vercingetorix, the last one, is often celebrated as a national hero in France. He symbolizes the struggle for freedom and resistance against oppression, and his legacy has been commemorated in various ways, including statues and references in French culture and history. Another national hero is Charles de Gaulle, who died in our Finnish town of Colombey-les-Deux-Églises. He was born in Lille, all the way in the north of France, but moved to Paris as an infant. He served in the First World War, where he was shot in the leg in 1914. He continued and became a prisoner of war in a German prisoner camp for 2 years from 1916. Apparently, he once even tried to escape dressed as a nurse. De Gaulle continued his military career after World War I and was known to be a great tactician. In the Second World War, he was promoted to Minister of Defense in France. He refused to accept the French government's armistice with Germany, fled to London, and there he declared himself the leader of the Free French Forces with the famous Appeal of 18 June radio broadcast. In this broadcast, he urged the French population to resist German occupation and continue fighting. Has the last word been said? He asked. Must hope disappear? Is defeat final? Non. And this act is often seen as the origin of the French resistance against the Nazis. And despite the fact not many French people knew who he was, it all caught on. And by that time, he had only been minister for 11 days, but his popularity throughout the war and after that grew. And to explain his popularity and his significance in France in the span of a few hundred words, or minutes in this case, is impossible. There will be a lot of nuance lost. But in short, very short, he led a government after the war, but quickly resigned and moved back to Colombey-les-Deux-Églises to write his memoirs. But in a time of great political upheaval at the end of the 1950s, he returned to power and founded the so-called Fifth Republic. He became president in 1959. The fact the Americans had never really accepted him as a French leader in the war and immediately after defined his wish to make France a key player in global politics and diminish the influence of the USA. He left NATO, got his own nuclear weapons arsenal, and blocked the British from entering the European market twice because they were under the influence of the Americans, according to him. Yes, he really did not like the Americans. In France, his own party won election after election, especially after some crafty manipulation of the voter districts. He made it happen that French presidents are now elected directly by the people. He was popular until 1968, when the big student protest that started in Paris spread to the rest of France. And France was in a big battle in former colony Algeria. He called for elections, but lost that vote of confidence by a small margin. After that, he retreated to his home in Colombey-les-Deux-Églises, where he died in 1970 after playing a game of solitaire because of an aneurysm.
We're heading to After Dark.
Grand.
Thank you to everybody who listened to the free version of this podcast.
Yeah.
If you would like to get After Dark, if you would like full access to the website all month, If you would like all the special episodes, the special episode we're going to do on the rest day.
Yeah.
If you would like tangents after we're done. If you would
Yeah.
like access to performance process from Ronan and go deep dive into how to be a better cyclist, escapecollective.com/TDF will get you to your $1 promo and you can get signed up.
If you've been holding off and being like, oh, you know what, the normal podcast, that's enough for me. Now that the three of us are here, the After Dark is potentially going to unravel in a good way. And
I mean, at some
it's probably
point,
going to be more substantive and
Loopy.
looser.
there will be a
than
point.
the main pod
There will be a point
where we do more After Dark than
I was going to say
regular.
sometime this tour, maybe in this week, because there's going to be so little bike racing to
Yeah.
talk about, where After Dark is longer than the regular podcast.
And we wish that was a business-driven decision, but it will not be.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's head to After Dark.